guys, welcome back to our channel. Oh, don't I feel good being here once again, frank with you. I only get to see you tukiwa hapa. So this is being 40, and one thing I want to say, thank you so much for all of you who've been giving us feedback, while I'm subscribed, those guys who share our videos. We really appreciate you. And today, guess what? We are going to talk about investments. It's all about money. And most of you have asked us, how is it, having turned 40 and looking back and seeing how we have been spending money, how we have been investing. So today we're going to just be shedding more light on this. And I don't know, Frank, Jumenyamaza, Ebu tell us, when are you into a brutal fact? Ebu, just tell me, how has it been for you in terms of money?
I mean, when it comes to money, there's a quote I usually like expressing is, sometimes I feel like if we tell people the brain is an app, they can start using it. And, this is because we spend a lot of times on our phones, on our gadgets and everything else. But if you bring it out closer to money, I mean, if we don't use so much when we're thinking, because think of it this way. If you cannot control your emotions, you cannot control your finances, right? And if you cannot control your emotions, you cannot control your finances.
I'm also learning.
Yeah, and this is why I say so, because most of the time, we buy things or we purchase things using emotions and justify using logic.
Why are you describing me? Oh my God, this is so me. Do you know, I wake up one day and I tell myself, now that sijui mshahara imeingia, let me go and treat myself because I've been working 30 days and I feel I need to reward myself. But you know what? I end up like spending 50% of that cash, and eventually there's more of, regrets, and it's been like a vicious cycle. So what I realized, because I'm such an emotional person and I always have good reasons as to why I need to reward myself. Can you imagine I have over 200 pairs of shoes?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, think of it. Yeah. Everything that we purchase, there's always an emotional attachment to it, right? And when somebody challenges you, the first thing you have to give a logic, a reason towards it. Yes. And to what you say, 200 pairs of shoes, I'm sure you're buying a pair now, not because you need it, but there's an attachment to it. Exactly. Which brings me to the next point when it comes to finances. There are two rules that control me. Rule number one is never lose a single coin. And then rule number two is never forget rule number one.
Come again? My God, you have put me in for
there are only two rules when it comes to money. Rule number one is never lose a single coin. And then rule number two is never forget rule number one. This is why I'm saying that. Think of it this way. If you cannot manage a coin, you'll never be able to manage 1,000,000 shillings. Very true. If you cannot manage, when you start life, if you cannot be able to control the little amount that you earn, you'll not be able to manage a large sum amount. So I always tell myself, if I have this coin and I'm not able to use this money, or I'm not able to spend it it's just the sitting of, I keep on reminding myself, when it comes to money, what is the simplest way of me making sure that I'm able to have it and contained? So that's why I sit back and I say, I've given myself two rules. One, never lose a single coin. And losing is spending on things that you really don't need, which links to the emotional aspect of our lives, right? Then rule number two is never forget rule number one.
It's just interesting hearing you say this, Frank, because ideally we went to the same primary school. We've had the same environment being in the ghetto, but I come from a very different school of thought, because for me, I think analyzing myself and going by the psychological facts, I have the scarcity mentality syndrome. So for me, it's about grabbing stuff and, having stuff, like if it's nguo, wardrobe imeja, viatu zimeja, I'm always having that emotions of siku I get. I never had this when I was young, so I really want to reward myself over and over again. And hearing you now, having been transformed, because I believe, yes, environment can shape you. But again, one thing is we are told that habits can be learnt, unlearnt, or relearnt. So I think for you, it's something that, you know, as you walked, you know, along this path called journey, there's something that happened to you and you're able to, you know, relearn, you know, how to, you know, do stuff. Because for me, I think I honestly, and I say this without any, you know, trying to, you know, lies or whatever, I am actually a spender. I love spending on myself, but again, I also hustle. So probably I always say, because I've worked so hard, let me try and, you know, reward myself. So I think that's where I go wrong. But just as I'm learning from you, I'd like to ask you, like, what has been your greatest lesson in terms of, like, you know, I know you've really invested well, but out of all these things that you have, you know, done for yourself, what is key? What is, you know, if there's someone else who out there who's looking for advice, like where do I invest? How do I make money work for me? Maybe you can, I'm also here, I'm learning, so.
So there are two things. One, I always tell myself is never depend on a single income, all right? And you know, you have your day job, but at the same time, I call it passive income, all right? Try to identify over and above your monthly salary. And I think I call it a disease for a number of us who depend on our paycheck every month.
Me being one of them.
Right? On a number of us, because there's a book, a friend of mine recommended a book the other day, the Jewish Phenomenon, I think.
Okay.
And the book is all about some times back when the Jews believed they were working for the Nazis. And what happened is they were the ones who had the skills. So the Nazis employed them. And then they felt, because they had the skills, you know, we're gonna do this job with all that we have.
Okay.
So the Nazis, what they did is, you know, they used these skills, they got the skills, and after that, you're dropped off. And you see, in your journey, even as you're employed, what happens is, sometimes if you work for 20 years plus, and we don't have side investment, like passive investments, I look at it like me as Frank, 20 years is gone, because that experience is gone elsewhere. So I need to think of passive income in addition to my monthly salary. Because remember, I always say your boss is not your friend.
Very true.
Our companies have been there for the longest time. They can easily replace us. So the one thing that you must do, and which I did for myself, is I sat back and I said, I'll never depend on a single income. So one is passive, one is my daily job. Number two is always make sure that your circle of friends, and I like saying this, and I picked it from the other episode when you talked about friends. Try to hang around people who are always better than you. Always.
That's profound.
Always try to sit back and ask yourself, I've reached this level. You know the problem of you being on top in a group, they look up to you. And if you have ego and pride, you'll be like, I'm the top. Mi ndio yani, you know, mi ndo wananijua. So that will make you feel comfortable and you conform. But every time you find yourself you've reached at a certain point with a certain group of people, try and move to another group where you're not the top, you're the bottom. Then they pull you up.
Exactly.
So for me, over time, these are some of the things that have been pulling me through.
Wow, wow, I love that. I love that. What I've picked a lot from you, because for me, of course, I am doing things the wrong way, I must confess. But even looking up, you know, looking at you, and of course, having us guys being friends, I'm really learning, you know, to see how, you know, you've set your mind, you know. I love your belief systems. I love the way, you know, you challenge yourselves. And I think one thing that I'd really, you know, like to work in me is, you know, that thing of employment, that mentality of employment. You're always, you know, looking for that salo at the end of the month. But Frank, we are Kenyans, eh? We are always wanting to buy land. Yeah, everyone is always investing in land or, you know, doing housing schemes. You know, there's those patterns that we Kenyans follow. What's your thought on this?
It's an interesting thing, and people have different views and perspectives, and I have a different view, which is personal. I always tell myself, if you buy things you don't need, sooner you'll be selling things that you need. You know, if you start buying things that you don't need now, but later in life, you'll find yourself, you're selling the most critical things you have in your life. When it comes to land, and I think in our culture, you'll get, it is a belief people from certain areas,
Yes.
you know, have this and have that. For me, I called buying land, in my view, a dead investment.
Why dead?
Because we tend to be a nation of being speculative.
Okay.
I'm buying land because I had a certain radio host or somebody saying, buy land at this place.
Yes.
It's being sold at this price. I'm not buying it because it is part of my vision, it is part of my plan, it is part of my priority. So,
Because of influence.
exactly. So there's a lot of advertisements going out there and saying, there's property, there's property, there's property. And it's cheap. So what do? I don't need that land now. I go get my money or even a loan, and then I buy the property. It's dead investment for me. It will just sit there and it's property. Now,
Yes.
what do? I'm not saying that I have pieces of land, but I sit back and I ask myself, what is it that can give me instant revenue or instant income?
Okay.
So when you come and start thinking of your passive income, also try to have something that gives you some constant cash flow for you to be able to do the small things in the house.
Wow.
I'm not against
What would
land,
that
no.
be?
Well,
Just expand,
it
yeah.
depends on a number of people. Most of us come from the view of, if I need to do something, then I need to start earning 100,000 a month or 200,000 a month, side hustles.
yes.
No. I have seen somebody who went and invested in 10 mkokotenis, the cats.
Okay.
And this is not somebody who is coming from a humble life. It's somebody who lives in the high market areas.
Yes.
Per mkokoteni, those guys are giving him 500 shillings per day. And he has 10.
That's 5,000.
That's 5,000.
Awesome.
To invest in 10 mkokotenis, it's only 100,000. It's only 10,000 to make one.
Yes.
This guy earns 5,000 a month, stress-free, easy. So sometimes we might try to think of the bigger things. We say, no, I want to buy something that will give me 100,000, you know. No, start from somewhere. Because this guy makes 5,000 a day. Multiply that by 30 days, he has 150. Passive income. Somebody else decides, I'm gonna buy a motorcycle and, you know, I'll lease it out.
Yes.
And he ends up buying, you know, 3, 4, 5 motorcycles.
Yes.
Of course, each and everything comes with its challenges.
Exactly.
But all I'm saying is go back to yourself and ask yourself, what are some of these things that you can do and they are going to propel your passive income? It's very critical.
What? It's been a few minutes with you, Frank, and I always say, I mean, I just love the kind of motivation you give me. And I think maybe based on what we get as part of our feedback, we might need to have another session on investments, because I think, you know, it's such you know, a powerful topic, because we all, you know, life revolves around certain things, and investment is one of them. So just listening to you has really given me food for thoughts. And yeah, for our viewers, I'm sure you must be in that place where you're thinking, how do I invest cash? How do I, you know? So please feel free to give us questions, you know. Just subscribe to our channel, which is on the screen. Follow us. You can call us. Our numbers are even on our Facebook page. Please let us know what areas are you struggling with, so that we can be able to answer you, you know, get expertise, advice, and be able to give you the kind of solutions you're looking for. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Thank you for all those of you, I mean, who share videos. Nitasema hii mara 20. Like, you know, seeing you guys just sharing the videos and giving us feedback really, you know, has kept us going.
Remember, it's all about being 40 at 40, and we're just sharing our views and what we think about money, our experiences, what we've learned. So thank you for dialing in, thank you for tuning in, and thanks for your comments.
Asanteni sana, and keep it locked.
Keep it locked, being 40.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Frank Mola Brutal Facts. Oh wow, I just love this session. Now, allow me to read one thing out, okay? If it's called the 5x5 rule, if it's not going to matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes being upset about it. Brutal fact. Now, let me bring you to a 10-10-10 rule. There's a 10-10 rule that I learned many years back. And what is 10-10-10? 10-10-10 is whereby any action, anything that you're planning to do now, this is me, Frank, now. Anything that I want to do now, I need to apply the 10-10-10 rule, all right? What do I mean by that? Let's say, for example, I'm thinking of buying a car, right? I need to ask myself, in the next 10 seconds, in the next 10 minutes, in the next 10 days, in the next 10 weeks, in the next 10 months, in the next 10 years, what value or what benefit does it bring to me? Then work backwards. And if you see everything coming out positively and it's making sense, then go ahead and buy that car. Well, I know brutal facts links to being 40 as well, but let me tell you guys something else. In your 20s and in your 30s, and to the teenagers mainly, and I'm gonna be brutal about this. When you meet that boy, when you meet that girl, okay, and you're just about to think of doing things that you're not supposed to do, I'll call it as it is, you wanna have sex. Let me tell you one thing, all right? Apply 10-10-10 into that principle. Ask yourself as a girl, in the next 10 seconds, in the next 10 minutes, in the next 10 hours, in the next 10 weeks, what's going to happen to you? Trust you me, in the next 10 seconds, you're gonna have fun. In the next 10 minutes, you're going to have a headache, what has just happened. In the next 10 days, you're not sure if you're pregnant. In the next 10 weeks, you're pregnant. My friend, in the next 10 months, you have a 1-month-old baby. In the next 10 years, you know what it means. So always apply 10-10-10 in everything that you do. You can apply it in investments. You can apply it in relationships. Anything that you want to do, guys, just remember, let me do my 10-10-10 now and then work backwards. You'll always get your answer. Brutal Facts with Frank Mola. We are going back to being 40. Thank you for watching.